Hey friends, it's Brad Brain. Today, let's talk about buying stocks. A day or so ago, I got a call from a lady. She wanted to buy some stocks. So she called me up, which actually happens quite a bit because, to my knowledge, I'm the only local financial advisor who's fully licensed for securities. And by local, I mean within hundreds of kilometers. Not that there aren't other financial advisors around, but they just do mutual funds only. So I guess, I think from time to time, sporadically, I think a bank will bring somebody in for a week or whatever, but nobody, they're coming in from out of town and they're here and they're gone. So as far as I know, I'm the only local guy who's fully securities licensed. So I get these phone calls, right? Can I buy some stocks? And the answer is, yeah, you can. Now, should you is a different question than can you, but the answer is, yeah, you can. But in her case, we didn't really help her out because what she wanted to buy wasn't publicly traded. But it made me think about the different aspects about buying stocks because, sometimes there's temptations. And, well, let me tell you what I mean, because I get this stuff all the time, right? So I'm going to play you a voicemail that I got just today. This was today. This is a real call. I don't know the guy. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know him. But listen to this, and I'll tell you what I think of it later. Okay, here we go.
Touch base to get a quick intro to the company. We have a major mining project down in Botswana where we are mining for manganese. The reason why that's important is because of electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are going to take over the market. Gas-powered vehicles are not going to be sold. California has even taken steps to make gas-powered vehicles obsolete by 2030. I'm going to flip you over some information. Take a look. If you look.
Okay, so here's the context. I don't know this guy. Like, he's cold calling me, right? And he's telling me that they've got a mine in Botswana. All right. Now, he has a story. Whether that's true or not, whether it says what is true or not, I don't know, because I don't know how much manganese goes into electric vehicles. And I don't know if California really is going to ban gas vehicles by 2030, which is only 9 years away. It sounds good, though, right? And here's the thing. A lot of people will have this story that sounds good, and that's all they need to know. They want to buy some stock in a story that sounds good. But let's not lose sight of what the start of the call was. A guy who I don't know who he is, no idea about the company. They got a mine in Botswana, and they want me to put money into it. That's enough for me, right? I get these calls all the time. Now, here's what I realized is that the public doesn't get these type of calls all the time. I get these type of calls all the time. And I'll tell you straight up, I am never buying stock over the phone from somebody I've never heard of for a company I've never heard of with a business plan I have no information on. I'm going to be deleting the email, trust me, okay? Or the voicemail. But what made me think about this was I got an email from a second person this week, and she wanted to alert me of a scam that was going on. And this was totally a routine scam, like the type of things that everybody gets warnings of all the time. But that made me realize that, for her, she hasn't seen this very often. She hasn't seen it. So for her, she thought that she needed to let me know about this scam that was out there. But, trust me, I see scams all the time too, eh? But I realized that, I have a different perspective on these things because I hear these things all the time. I see these things all the time. I work with these things all the time. And for somebody who doesn't, if you get a phone call or an email right out of the blue with some promise of a great investment, then you could take that at face value. And what I'm saying is do your due diligence. Anybody that you don't know who's inviting you to invest in their wonderful opportunity, they might have a great story. Doesn't mean it's a great investment for you, is it? Okay, anyway, here's the deal. So the lady calls me up. She wants to buy something. We couldn't help her out, but she wanted to put about $2,000 in on her idea. And what I told her was this, was you can do this. Now, it doesn't mean you should do it, but you can do this. Now, here's the thing is, if you know what you want to buy and all you need is somebody to execute it for you, then you don't necessarily need me, right? You don't need to pay for a full service financial professional because I ain't cheap to buy $2,000. You just need to, basically you need a clerk, right? Why pay for the financial professional when you just need somebody to execute your order? So in a case like that, you can look at a discount broker. So if you just want, if you know what you want to buy and you know how to do it, then just go and do it for. I mean, you can probably get it for like $10 if you look around. Now, that's not necessarily great, and probably investing is one of the things you actually don't want to buy based on price alone, because there's some horror stories out there right now of just abysmal long hold times and order execution just not really up to snuff, things like that. So I mean, you're kind of getting what you pay for with this. But that being said, if all you need is somebody to execute an order, then you don't necessarily need a guy like me to go do that, right? So, and for $2,000, it could be cost effective to do that. Now, the other thing though is, do we really need a stock in the first place? Because that's the sexy thing right now, right? Let's buy some stock. It's a sexy thing. Do you need it though? And here's what I mean by that. And be honest with yourself, okay? Because we all have hopefully anyway, a healthy self-esteem. We all think that we can do wonderful things. We're all a little bit taller and a little bit slimmer than the mirror reflects. So be honest with yourself. Do you really have the time, the energy, the interest, the expertise, the motivation to pick your own stocks? Because I'm going to just toss this out there for 90% of the Canadian population. I'm going to say the answer is no. If you're one of the 10%, go for it. If you're one of the 90%, be honest with yourself, though. Okay, now here's another part. The alternative to buying stocks, for most people, is buying mutual funds. And mutual funds have become the favorite whipping boy for the financial media and financial gurus out there. They're saying different things like mutual funds cost too much money. Okay, well, let's talk about that, because sometimes what we need to do is actually put some dollars to the question for it to have any context, right? So let's say, for instance, that somebody wants to put in $2,000. And if they were to buy a mutual fund, a typical mutual fund would cost about 2.5% per year. Okay, so what does that work out to be? Well, 2.5% of $2,000, if my math works out, that's like $50 a year, right? So could you do it for cheaper? Maybe. Sure. For discussion purposes, yes, you could do it for cheaper. But how much money are you really going to save if the total costs are $50 a year? Right? We're talking about literally dollars a month. Okay. And for that, what you'll get is diversification, professional management, potentially better returns. And in order to save $50 or less, because you'd have some costs anyway, to take on the responsibility of doing your own stock picking, for a lot of people, it's just not worth it. So before you just automatically buy into the populist theme that's out there that mutual funds are expensive, let's actually check out what's the best fit for your situation. Because at the end of the day, what everything comes down to is making decisions that are consistent with your objectives. If you do that, then you're on the right track. The idea of like what the MER is on a mutual fund and whether an ETF is cheaper, that's distractions. That's not the main thing. The main thing is not to try and find the cheapest option. The main thing is to find the best option. They're not always the same thing. So I'm not saying that costs are unimportant, but let's make informed, intelligent decisions about your money. Okay, so can you buy stock? Absolutely. What's the best way to do it? Well, you can give me a call if you want. I'll point you in the right direction, but it could be through a discount broker. And the other question, though, is like, is this really what you want to do in the first place? Is it something that helps you out? Let me tell you where I'm coming from on that. I've got a 20 plus year career of people coming to me all hot to buy a stock, and then they do a really good job of turning $5,000 into $2,000. Now, nobody buys a stock that they're not optimistic about, but the reality is that hot stock tip that your cousin gave you doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to. Anyway, if you do have any questions, or if there's anything at all that I can help you with, please let me know. I'm here to help. I'm Brad Brain. Stay healthy. Be well. Take care.